On the bench here, we have the three main fuel tank sumps for the Aerostar. In the center, we have the sump for the fuselage tank, and to the right and left of that, we have the fuel sumps for the wing tanks. This is the right tank, this is the left tank. These are mounted upside down on the bench. So this being the fuselage tank sump, it actually mounts to the bottom of the fuselage tank just like so. And you can see inside we've got our fuel strainer, and we've got an outlet on the left and right side so that the fuselage tank can feed the plenum that's on the left and the right sides of the fuselage tank. And this is, you're looking at the back side here, this faces the tail. This outlet here feeds the heater. So the heater only receives fuel from the fuselage tank. It does not receive any fuel from the wing tanks. To the left and right sides here of the fuselage sump, we have these one-way check valves. These are just flapper valves, is all they are. There's a little O-ring there on the bottom, and they're just spring-loaded or gravity-loaded to the closed position, and it only allows fuel to go out but not in. And that prevents wing tank fuel from being able to flow into the fuselage tank or the sump for the fuselage tank. Same thing on the other side as well. So that's how the sump works for the fuselage. Now, this actually sits this way. We've got the wing tank. First of all, we mentioned the plenums that sit to the sides of the fuselage sump. The wing sumps actually bolt directly to. So where is the plenum that we're talking about here that's between the sumps? Well, the plenum is actually built into the wing tank sumps. So if you notice this big hose right here, this is where, in this case being the sump for the right wing tank, this is where the right wing gravity feeds through this inlet into the sump. However, this is not all one big open area here. The plenum is built into the sump. So if you look inside here, you can see the other check valve here. Again, this is a one-way check valve that allows wing fuel to gravity feed in here and then enter the sump or plenum, but not flow backwards back into the wing tank. And then on the other side of this sump, so actually let me just make this clear. So this is actually sectioned off like so. So that means that when the wing fuel gravity feeds in here, it flows into this little section, and through the one-way check valve, it actually flows into the sump. So the wing sump is actually the plenum that's between the fuselage and the wing fuel tank. So this faces the front of the airplane. On the aft side of the airplane is where the fuel valve sits for the right engine, because this is the right wing tank plenum or sump. So that means that because this fuel valve is positioned between the one-way check valve here, which gets wing fuel, and the one-way check valve that's off of the fuselage sump that flows into this common plenum area, that means that this main fuel valve for the right engine is receiving fuel both from the wing and from the fuselage tanks at the same time. But out here is another valve. This is the cross feed valve for the opposite side engine. In this case, it would be for the left engine because this is the right wing tank sump. Notice that the fuel valve out here for cross feed is on the other side of this check valve. That check valve is sitting right here. So this fuel valve cannot receive any fuel at all from the fuselage sump, which sits here. It can only receive fuel from this wing tank here. So that's why if the left engine is in cross feed, it's only getting fuel from the right wing tank, nothing from the fuselage tank. So that's how we can, by means of these check valves and the arrangement of the plenums and the sumps and how they all interact together, can give us the fuel feed scheme that we need for the Aerostar.